Fashion documentaries deserve far more recognition than they typically receive, and that's a baffling fact in the world of cinema. Consider this. Masterpieces like Unzipped, Valentino, The Last Emperor, Dior and I, the September issue, Diana Vreeland, The Eye Has to Travel, and McQueen are some of the finest nonfiction films ever made, yet none have even landed an Oscar nomination. Documentaries about visual artists often garner serious acclaim. Exit Through the Gift Shop, for instance, was Oscar nominated, but when the spotlight turns to a fashion designer or a magazine editor, they tend to be overlooked. But here's where it gets controversial. Why is that? Is fashion undervalued as an art form in the eyes of the film industry, or perhaps misunderstood? It's a question worth asking. Against this backdrop, Sofia Coppola boldly steps into the arena with her documentary directorial debut, Marc by Sofia, a deeply personal film about her longtime friend and American design icon, Marc Jacobs. The film premiered at the prestigious Venice Film Festival, an event made even more notable as Sofia's father, the legendary Francis Ford Coppola, was recently there to present Werner Herzog with an honorary Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement. Marc Jacobs, once widely known as a rebellious, boundary-pushing presence in fashion, now shows a more mature, grounded side at 62. However, his passion and engagement with his craft remain undiminished. Like many fashion documentaries, Marc by Sofia loosely centers around the making of a collection. In this case, Jacobs' 2024 Spring Ready-to-Wear line. Unlike some designers who visibly wrestle with the stress of deadlines and expectations, Isaac Mizrahi, in Unzipped, famously unraveling on camera during his 1994 fall collection, Jacobs exudes quiet confidence, telling Coppola, "I have faith that it will become something." He radiates a calm assurance that only decades in the business can cultivate, and that confidence is far from unfounded. Jacobs' career spans over 30 years. He first laid waves at Perry Ellis heading women's wear, then famously reinvented Louis Vuitton as creative director starting in 1997, before launching his own labels, Marc Jacobs Collection and Marc by Marc Jacobs. Press materials for the documentary don't hold back, referring to him as a genius, an assertion that the film helps us understand. The documentary's early pace is slow, but it gathers momentum as Coppola recounts the early 90s, the era when their friendship blossomed in New York. Jacobs raised eyebrows by bringing grunge streetwear into high fashion, a daring move at a time when the industry was dominated by strict class and aesthetic codes. Anecdotes suggest he was fired from Perry Ellis because of this rebellious collection, and when Coppola asks him about it, he denies the rumor, yet admits he enjoys the tale. This interplay highlights how stories around fashion legends can sometimes take on a mythic life of their own. Coppola wisely remains off-camera initially, allowing the story to unfold naturally, but she steps into view later, offering viewers insight into their close relationship, something vital if the documentary is to transcend surface-level glamour. Their bond is palpable, especially over a shared love of cinema. Jacobs reveals how deeply film influences his creativity, citing inspirations like Rainer Werner Fassbinder's The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, the iconic Hey Big Spender scene from Sweet Charity, the seductive Mrs. Robinson from The Graduate, and choreographer Bob Fosse's work. Coppola seamlessly integrates clips from classics like Cabaret, All That Jazz, Petra von Kant, Elizabeth Taylor's films with Montgomery Clift, and Barbra Streisand's Hello, Dolly. A lighthearted exchange, Coppola asking why gay men are often Streisand's biggest fans, and Jacobs joking about his fascination with women who are caricatures of themselves, adds warmth and personality. Their collaboration extends beyond the film. Coppola was the face of Jacobs' Daisy fragrance and starred alongside her father in a Louis Vuitton ad for his brand. This closeness means the documentary lacks the detached, critical tone some might expect. Jacobs is shown vaping frequently, but his past struggles with cocaine and alcohol, he sought rehab twice, as reported by The New Yorker in 2008, go unaddressed, highlighting a choice to focus on the present creative journey rather than past troubles. That said, the film is far from shallow. It reveals poignant aspects of Jacobs' early life. The death of his father, a William Morris agent, when Marc was only 6, his mother's battle with mental illness, and years spent living with his grandparents, where he learned knitting and needlepoint from his grandmother, skills that feed into his artistry. He candidly reflects on childhood challenges, including weight issues and social discomfort. Ultimately, it's through fashion and creation that he finds his voice. One of the film's most compelling moments is watching Jacobs engaged in the painstaking detail work that separates a great designer from the good. He demands tiny refinements. A subtle tweak to the looping sleeve of a dress might seem trivial, but makes a world of difference once perfected. He scrutinizes the nail polish shade on a model for the 2024 Spring show, insisting it be more Dead Barbie, a color that complements the collection's paper doll inspiration. His direction extends all the way to the model's gestures, instructing them how to hold their arms to resemble the stiff, jointed limbs of a doll, brilliantly tying concept to presentation. The runway show setting itself is notable, featuring massive table and chairs that invoke the work of sculptor Robert Terrian, reminiscent of installations at the Broad Museum in Los Angeles. Models navigate the oversized furniture, creating a striking, memorable visual that merges fashion with art installation. Watching Marc by Sofia brings a striking realization. Fashion designers may just be among the most innovative artists of our time. Unlike painters or sculptors, who often develop a recognizable style and revisit similar themes throughout their careers, designers reinvent their entire vision with each new collection. They don't just reflect cultural shifts, they drive them. Comparing Jacobs' early 90s collections to his current work reveals a dramatic evolution. Aside from a fondness for knitwear, the designs differ radically, showcasing a creative range few artists achieve. However, Marc by Sofia isn't without its criticisms. At times, the film feels somewhat insular, bordering on clubby, like an exclusive peek behind the velvet rope for insiders. This sense of cool detachment could alienate viewers who aren't part of the designer's or Coppola's milieu. The press materials describe the Marc Jacobs woman as cutting-edge, culturally savvy, insouciant, and effortlessly cool, in essence, Sofia. This self-referential nod speaks to the film's inherent self-regard. A drawback for those craving critical distance, but understandable given the friendship at its core. Ultimately, despite any quirks, this documentary offers an intimate, revealing portrait of a man whose work has profoundly shaped fashion over decades. Marc by Sofia invites us to